Hey, what's going on? Sean here. Thanks for being here. I wanted to come on today and talk about some things that are very dismaying, some things that are very upsetting to me. Now, the concert industry may be coming to an end. It may literally be on its last legs. And it's really due to just complete idiocy and stupidity on their part. So they're ramping up again for all sorts of shutdowns, even though there's no dead bodies in the street, even though there's 99.7% of people aren't affected by the thing, and even though hospitals aren't overwhelmed. This is definitely not a pandemic by any measure. This is a lie. This whole thing's a lie, and yet they're going to shut the world down again. Now, they're canceling tours. My Journey tribute band was slated to do our first really big show where we were headlining a huge festival up in North Carolina. They canceled the entire festival over nothing. No dead people in the streets. Their hospitals aren't overwhelmed. Over just a farce event, and they're trying to force people everywhere to take an experimental gene therapy thing, and even though that's against the Nuremberg codes, that's against your human rights, that's against everything we previously ever believed in this country, let alone the Western world. They're trying to force people by basically taking away their ability to travel, taking away their ability to go to concerts, because Live Nation and these AEG and these other big promoters and many venues are openly stating that if you don't have that thing, that jab, you can't come in here, and proof of it with some type of a passport, you can't come to the show. You know, I mean, where does that lead? To gold stars of David on our sleeves? They're going to try to tell you can't go to the grocery store and get food. They're already telling you can't come into certain offices and events with a mask on. That is not effective to any known virus. Every single major virus and pathogen is smaller than the holes you can get through a mask. 100% fact and proven it's completely not effective, but they don't care. They will still push this bullshit. And so now they're canceling tours again. Now, these superstars in these bands, they all have if they don't have enough money, like David Crosby says he doesn't, that's his own fucking fault for shooting it up in his arm or snorting it up his nose. The rest of them have no problems with money, or no excuse not to have money. But you know what? You know what makes them run? Their staff, their technical people that they have, their roadies, their front of house sound, all the people that move a tour from one town to another, the hospitality staff in all these towns that house these people and feed them and stuff like that. And you know, there's a lot of logistics that go into an industry, and those few at the very top are sitting pretty. They can self-isolate for the rest of their lives. If they want to be propagandized and fucking in the dark about reality, they can, and they will. They don't care. They're sitting in Malibu. But the rest of us have to suffer. Most of the touring industry is smaller tier bands that tour out of Nashville and stuff like that and go out for 3-4 days at a time and come back. The people that I knew in that industry, and I lived in Nashville for almost 5 years, many of them lost everything. Many went bankrupt. Several committed suicide over it. It's serious business, and they're shutting the entire concert business down. My band came out of the gates a couple years ago as the closest representation of Journey out there. You know, we could play anything and spot on, nail it. We're the best Journey band that exists. We immediately got national representation. We immediately got national level agency. We were set to start touring all over the country. We built this band to be that kind of business, and we were building our Toto band to do the same thing. Because we've all spent over 30-something years in the business doing it, and we had the skills to do it. And so we figured we would do it. But all of that momentum that we gained was just shot. It was completely stopped with the ridiculous worldwide economic shutdown under the guise of a fucking fake emergency last year. Personally, that affected me. That affected a lot of people. I knew other musicians who just lost everything. I was in a good position. I always make over $50,000, $60,000 a year playing music. And that might not be a lot of money to a lot of people, but that's in the top, above the top 1% of musicians worldwide in the aggregate, if you count all professional musicians out there, not bedroom players. I instead of playing 250 gigs last year, plus my journey band, and we had like 50 gigs canceled, and we don't make $400 like a bar band. We make thousands and thousands a night. But anyway, I played about 25. All of this is based on a very easily provable lie. But like I said, people lost everything in the last year. There are millions and millions of independent, smaller musicians who actually make their living like me. There are millions of bands out there that tour, or at least hundreds of thousands of them. I'm talking about worldwide. They're shutting down the entire concert industry. And if you think that people could come back from this, most of these little bands, including me, musicians, are small businesses in themselves. And if you think we could just take PPP loans from the government in perpetuity and survive, you're gravely mistaken. What's happening here is the controlled demolition of the Western financial system, and what it will be is controlled demolition of the Western culture. Nobody can force you to take jabs to go to work. Okay, that's unconstitutional. That's against the entire moral foundation of Western culture. Governments have taken upon themselves to just decree that they have these powers that they don't have. And we're going to have to start standing up to them. But if they do shutdowns again, I was hoping people would come to their senses and just stand up and say no. And I think they will. And I don't think the jab rates are anywhere near that they say they are. That's why they're in panic mode with their threats. I live in Florida. DeSantis won't shut the state down, but little local petty tyrants and businesses are shutting shit down. I just had to cancel or just refuse, ghost, a dental appointment I haven't had in 2 fucking years because they have people with masks on in that office. You have to have a mask on because I don't fucking wear the masks. I don't comply. I will not comply. Okay? I'm not playing games here in my life. I'm a sovereign, free American human being, and I will not be subjugated by some petty tyrant, whether it be a business, a local politician. All right? Pretty soon, people are going to have enough, and that's when we need to band together, wake up, stand up en masse, and tell them to fuck themselves. So back to the concert industry. If the concert industry shuts down, which of course includes local gigs, corporate gigs, as well as even some of the resort stuff that I do on the water. If that shuts down, that's going to be the end of it for lots of people. It'll probably be the end of it for many of these businesses. How are these promoters? How about my manager and my agent? The only way that dude has survived over the last year and a half is he took a huge PPP loan. Agencies and event companies that I honestly, I'm not crying for them because, I'm still a little chapped about the way I was treated in Orlando. And by the way, that was due to my political views. You don't toe the leftist line, you're blackballed out of that whole scene. I was blackballed out. Nobody could do what I could do, singing, playing. That's a fact. Nobody could do it. And I struggled to make a living there, to try to be among and in that scene, in the corporate scene, events in Orlando. Ultimately, I moved out of there back to where I grew up, South Florida, tip top of South Florida, and I'd kill it here, as no problem. If the government and the hysterical Great Reset agenda doesn't threaten to shut everything down. But a lot of these businesses I knew up in Orlando, a lot of these event planners, they also got PPP loans. That's the only reason millions of businesses, walking zombie businesses, exist today, is the government printed money and gave more to them than it gave to you and I. That is no way to run a country. But if you are for your sovereignty and individual liberty, you're going to say to the jab, because it's experimental. It's got things in it that no one has ever taken before. It's not even by the classical definitions a V. It is, they changed the definition of it. I would never take it. Normally these things go through 10 years of trials on humans. Right now, whoever took it, you are the trial. You are the lab rats. That's insane. And if they start telling people that they can't feed their children unless they take that jab, you're going to start seeing some biblical shit happen. But as far as I'm concerned, also they're trying to shut travel down as well. So as far as I'm concerned, I can't get on an airplane anymore because I'm not wearing that face diaper, which is a sign of being a subjugated, conquered slave. Okay? You start telling people they can't have basic things like food, shelter, and clothing, they're already saying, you don't deserve to go to a concert. You don't deserve to do anything unless you wear a face diaper and or take the experimental jab. Let me tell you something. We're heading to a point in this country that no one wants to see. Because if you think, I say it's over half the population is going to sit back and let a few thousand people rule over you. You don't understand human nature, let alone the American basic need and lust and primal desire for freedom. You don't understand it. And these motherfuckers are deathly scared of what we might do. And whatever we do is going to be a biblical response. So, as far as the concert industry, it's dead. As far as I'm concerned, it's dead. They shut everything down again. It's over. No one's going back. If they're trying to tell people that you can't work at my business unless you take the jab, let's see how well that works out. Let's see how well it works out when these hospitals that are mandating it lose over half their nurses and doctors. These companies out there already don't have enough people working, and Walmart and Google and places like that are going to try to mandate for all their people to get this jab. This is authoritarian on the level of China. This is authoritarian on a level that I never thought I would see in the United States. In the abstract, I knew it was possible, but I never thought I would see this shit. You people better wake up, you better start standing up, and you better start fucking getting a certain mindset together. You better steel your resolve, because we've got bad, tough times. We're here. All I can say is pray. God bless you.